It's a Friday. It's 14 after 8. Let's bring him in. It's Joe Fortunato. He's taking us to film school. All righty. And boy, today he's going to go back in time with a really intense, thrilling movie with a great cast. And Joe, good morning, my friend. Go ahead and take it from there.
Yes, good morning, Ray. Good morning, everybody. And you're right about intense. In fact, I was thinking about how to intro this because it's the movie itself is fairly graphic. So there's some descriptions here, and then there's big spoilers. So I will let our Friday morning viewers judge for themselves. I don't want anyone tuning out, but just be warned. We are talking about the crime drama / horror movie Seven from 1995, released September 22nd, 1995, directed by David Fincher, written by Andrew Kevin Walker, starring, of course, Morgan Freeman, Brad Pitt, Kevin Spacey, and Gwyneth Paltrow. This only had one Oscar nomination for Best Editing, no wins, but it was a very popular movie. It was the seventh highest grossing film of that year, 1995. The movie spent 4 consecutive weeks at the top of the U.S. box office chart. So despite its graphic nature, it certainly wasn't too much for most of America and the rest of the world because it did very well at the box office. The film was voted the 8th scariest film of all time by Entertainment Weekly. And that's a little interesting because I don't really consider it a horror movie. It's a cop drama. It's a crime drama, but it is very scary at times. Brad Pitt considers this to be one of the most perfect films he's ever made. It probably doesn't hurt that he earned $7 million starring in the film. He actually turned down Apollo 13 to do this film instead. So, both were hits, so I don't think he could go wrong there. The writer, Andrew Kevin Walker, had a very hard time getting a studio to buy the rights to his script, partially because of the nature of the film, but also he was a complete unknown at the time. And he finally put a list of agents together that represented work in crime and thriller genres and eventually got a response. So that kind of stick-to-itiveness is a good lesson for those out there looking for careers in Hollywood. David Fincher, the director, initially turned down the screenplay because it sounded too much like a generic buddy cop movie to him. He didn't really get the intensity of it at first. But then he decided, you know what, I'll make this sort of like a genre movie, kind of a movie William Friedkin might have made after The Exorcist, and he got on board. Now, here's sort of the spoilerish part of this. Kevin Spacey was cast 2 days before filming began, and the producers intended that Kevin Spacey would receive top billing at the start of the movie, but he insisted that his name not appear in the opening credits at all, so as to surprise the audience with the identity of the killer. Spoiler alert right there. Anyway, so to compensate, he was listed twice in the closing credits, once before the credits start rolling and then once again in order of appearance. And another advantage that Kevin Spacey thought by not being promoted on the film is he could get excluded from the film's marketing during its release, so he didn't have to go travel around the world making public appearances on talk shows and whatnot to do any interviews. So that's one way of looking at it. And, even though he's probably one of the most horrifying and sadistic killers in cinematic history, John Doe, that's his character, they just call him John Doe, isn't seen actually killing anyone on screen. And, for those who don't know, he's a serial killer who is killing people based on the 7 deadly sins. So he's got a modus operandi that's very unique and very, very chilling.
Yeah, Kevin Spacey, as you mentioned, you don't actually see it. And that goes in line with the whole movie, doesn't it, Joe? I mean, you know what's going on. You see the results, but you really don't see the results. And I think that kind of keeps you on the edge of your seat.
No, absolutely. You don't actually see these killings. Yeah. A lot of them are after the fact, but, graphic images of corpses and pretty horrific stuff. In fact, we'll talk about some of the makeup jobs that were done here. David Fincher said to both Kevin Spacey and Brad Pitt, this is probably not the movie that you'll be remembered for, but it's one that you're going to be incredibly proud of. I actually think they're remembered for this quite well, frankly. So he might have been wrong about that. Now, the ending, again, very, very intense ending, and those who've seen it know what I'm talking about. The executives at New Line Cinema, who released the film, they balked at the film's ending, but Brad Pitt refused to make the film if it was changed. So the ending is the way it is now because Brad Pitt said, "Nope, not going to do it if we don't do it this way, the way it's written." Talking about some casting, originally the role was to. I'm sorry, let me do that all over again. The role that went to Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt were Al Pacino and Denzel Washington. They were the early choices for Somerset and Mills. Pacino declined as he was already scheduled to do another film, and Washington turned down the offer because he thought the film was too dark. So, again, this was even tough to get casting because of the nature of the film. Both actors, Pacino and Washington, have expressed regret not taking it. Val Kilmer turned down the role of John Doe, the killer. Sylvester Stallone turned down the role of Mills that went to Brad Pitt. That's kind of an interesting one. And now both of these gentlemen would have been great, but Gene Hackman was offered the role of Somerset, and Robert Duvall was also offered that same role and turned it down. That went to Morgan Freeman. And Kevin Costner and Nicolas Cage were also considered. So a lot of big names of that period of time. We talk about casting, with the actors, but in terms of directing, the great director Guillermo del Toro turned down a chance to direct as well because he says, "I'm a romantic and I don't subscribe to this script's dark view of the world." So the darkness of this film had a tough time attracting directors and actors for it. I mentioned the makeup, because of the victims here. One of the victims, or one of the seven deadly sins, is sloth, and one of the victims is seen after quite a long time being dead, and that makeup took 14 hours. So they barely could get any shooting time by the time they got the makeup on the actor.
Wow. Yeah, this is a real intense movie. I enjoyed it. I think, Joe, to be honest with you, I only watched it once because it was so intense. But I love the cast. I love the movie, and it's a good job picking this one out to get everything going. Hey, before we go any further, Gene filled in for me last week, but everything that I've heard is that Film School on the Road at Jilly's last Saturday with the original Superman was a big hit once again. I heard you knocked it out of the park with the movie, and I know there was a nice big crowd there.
Well, I appreciate those kind words, and I agree. I had a blast. One of my favorite movies. We had a terrific crowd. Love Jilly's for hosting our events, and boy, I couldn't have been happier with how it turned out. And I want to thank everybody that came out and joined us, and hopefully they'll come out again the next time we do one, and hopefully we will be doing one sometime in the next few months, and we'll, of course, you'll hear about that here. I do want to say before I say goodbye today that I have an event, a Fortunato Film School event online this coming Monday and Tuesday. This is a private event, so it's not normally made available to everybody, but they've given me permission to share, and this is going to be on Zoom. I am going to be doing one of my favorites, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and that is Monday and Tuesday. Now, here's the catch. You can only get the Zoom link if you visit my website at joefortunato.net. So if you're interested in that on Monday and Tuesday, it's a two-parter. Go to my website, joefortunato.net. You'll see it on the events page, and you can get the Zoom link, and you can join us. And like I said, this is kind of a rare opportunity because normally this is a private event that I do for ASU, and they are graciously allowing my listeners and people following my website to join us.
All right. Sounds good. Again, go to the website. And Joe, as always, my friend, thanks for joining us here on the morning show. Appreciate the Friday visits, and we'll do it again next week.
I look forward to it. See you then.
All right, Joe. Joe Fortunato, he's the best. Appreciate it. He's been part of my morning show now. Gosh, we're probably going on close to a decade with great film school stuff each and every Friday morning. Always appreciate him making time for us.